Hey Gengar Gang, what is going on? My name is Ryan, this is the Analytic Gengar, and welcome to another video. In today's PokeChat, we are talking about a whole bunch of news from the Pokemon world. Not much to say other than a rapper now turned Twitch streamer bought a $220,000 Pokemon card, Japan released Hidden Fates 2.0, and the internet has started theorizing what the 25th anniversary special set is going to be for us here in the United States come 2021. So without further ado, let's chat about each and every single one of those topics in a little bit more detail. First up, we have the not so surprising new trend. Rapper Logic buys Pokemon card for over $220,000. Now, fun fact, there are also articles going around that say that the same card was $183,000. I believe the difference and the discrepancy is due to a buyer's premium. What you have found over the past couple of months is that a bunch of different auction houses are now seemingly becoming the way to sell high-end Pokemon cards. And so on eBay, what we may see in the future is less use of eBay because it's incredibly expensive and restrictive, and more use of these private auction houses that are a little bit cheaper, a little bit wider valued, and offer a little bit more flexibility. The truth of the matter is that whether or not you listen to Logic's music, he is worth enough money that he probably values the privacy, and he probably values the added flexibility of being able to do a direct wire transfer to the auction house, and things like that typically lend themselves to attracting different types of clientele. So as a result, you may see that, especially once these cards start hitting $200,000 plus, it may actually be easier to sell at auction houses instead of on eBay. So if you've ever been curious as to why these auction houses are starting to low-key be poppin', that's probably the reason why. Now, the other thing of note about this is that this is just another famous person, or at minimum a person with money, who has recently bought into Pokemon cards. If you do a Pokemon card opening search on YouTube right now, it's kind of weird, but the niche has actually been flooded by a lot of different YouTube channels that don't always do Pokemon content. And so in addition to the typical people you might see in the community based on who you subscribe to and who you have notifications on, you're actually going to find that there's quite a bit more people now doing videos where they are opening $1,000 in Pokemon cards, because to their subscriber base, that is a huge deal. $1,000 sounds like a lot of money. Obviously, for anyone who's a little bit more into the hobby, you realize that although $1,000 might be a lot of money, in terms of Pokemon cards, it's not even worth like 1/3% towards Charizard. So, for what it's worth, I think this is really cool. Unfortunately, for many people, gone are the days of having the ability to purchase a first edition base set Charizard now. Literally, you could buy a house in Texas for this much money, paid off in full. And so the thought of dropping that much for a Charizard, unless you already have a house in Texas or presumably somewhere else, is a little ludicrous. And so the one sort of bad thing about this is, between Logan Paul's box break and rapper sort of cementing the price upwards of $220,000, I don't really see a situation playing out whereby these cards will ever sell for less money than that now. The good news is that, and I will mention this in the future in different videos, but the good news is that for every single card that does go above this price, there are tons of amazing Pokemon card artworks all across the different sets, from vintage to modern, that you can still invest in. And so even though this price point may break your heart for a first edition base set Charizard, I do think this community will have to mature a little bit, in so much that everyone who loves the first edition base set Charizard and remembers it from their childhood may have to slowly but surely start letting it go, simply because of the price point, and maybe start pursuing the shadowless version or the unlimited version, or cards from a different set. And so bear that in mind as well, because it will create an investment opportunity for you in the future. Although you might not be able to put your hands on first edition cards anymore, you might definitely want to get cards from the Legendary Collection reprint or the Base Set 2 reprint, etc., etc. So bear in mind all of those different factors. I see this as nothing but a good thing, but the one kind of caveat to that is that unfortunately for many people, I would argue probably 90% of our hobby, this particular card as a PSA 10 has now completely been written off as a purchasable card. So unless you either hit the lottery or come into some money one way or the other, I don't really see a situation playing out where a lot of people are going to be buying and selling these. Bear in mind, back in like 2013, this card was about $10,000. So when you look at it now, it seems like a brainless decision, but people were complaining about that card being $10,000 back then. Now, the second bit of news is in relation to Shiny Star V, the new Pokemon set that has been released, or that has been officially revealed. Now, the set is being released in Japan in November, and it broke the internet, quite literally, because of this thing right over here. So let's click on it. This little poster thing came up and blew up my Instagram feed, and I rolled my eyes so hard I nearly passed out. We're getting a shiny Charizard VMAX. Now, I'll talk about that in a little bit, but first things first, let's talk about this really cool set. So, 127 shining Pokemon sounds like a Hidden Fates reprint, and it is. To briefly go over what this set is going to entail. It's going to be a total of 300 cards. Now, bear in mind, when Hidden Fates was released in Japan, it had 250 cards in it. And in that set of cards, there was some cards that we found in the US Hidden Fates and the US Cosmic Eclipse. So while Shiny Star V has 300 total cards, making it the largest set and the largest Japanese set to ever be released ever, I do believe that for one purpose or another, the US version of this set, when it does come out, will be somewhat smaller. So, in case you're curious about the 300 card total, don't be. I think it will be pretty significantly smaller in the grand scheme of things. Now, the way that the numbering scheme is going to work is all based off what we know about the shiny Charizard VMAX. It's number 308 out of 190. So it sounds like there will be 190 regular Pokemon cards in the set, meaning they don't necessarily have to be shiny. Similar to the way that Hidden Fates had a set that was just Hidden Fates and there were just some regular chill cards in there. And then in addition to the 190 cards, we're going to get 127 shiny cards, meaning there are likely going to be 317 cards in total in the set. And in addition to that, bear in mind that the Charizard VMAX is only card 308, meaning it's likely that you're going to have regular quote-unquote baby Pokemon like Decidueye and Oranguru. You're going to have VMAX cards similar to this Charizard, which we obviously just showed, but tons of other cards may be entailed in that as well. And you'll probably have V cards like the shiny Charizard out of Champion's Path. As of right now, here's what's known to be in the set. So we have the Crobat V, Eldegoss, these two out of Champion's Path. You do have some stuff out of Sun and Moon era. Definitely everything is Sun and Moon era here. I know this Toxtricity is from Rebel Clash, the double is from the double V-Box, and so you do have some reprinted cards in this set. And then in addition to everything that you're seeing up here, there is this last big release, which is the Nessa set. So alongside Shiny Star V is going to be a unique Nessa box. And here it is. It's actually pretty cool because in my recent memory, it's the first time that I can remember a trainer themed box. But what's cool about it is that you're going to get a box, you're going to get a deck box, you're going to get sleeves with Nessa on it, a Nessa coin, and 2 boxes of the shiny set. So that's actually pretty cool. I hope they bring something similar to the United States. Nessa is a fan favorite trainer from the most recent region, and so it'll actually be pretty cool to see something themed around her. I hope the US box is a little different. This is obviously geared towards TCG players, but for collectors it might be cool to see something like a coin or something like a little statue of her, something different than the TCG coin, obviously. So, you know, some thoughts on that. I think it's pretty cool. It bears like a very close resemblance to the way that they gave out a Rayquaza statue in the $100 Hidden Fates box that came out here in the States. Again, not saying it has to be like a Nessa statue that has a place for a trading card to be at, but wouldn't it be cool if they did something similar where they gave out some sort of very cool, unique, and different item with the Nessa box and charged like, I don't know, $100 for it, and it came with a whole bunch of stuff. I think that'd be pretty dope. Now, my thoughts on this set in general are a little like ambivalent. I don't really know what to tell you guys other than I'm not the happiest I could be, because I do feel like maybe, just maybe, Pokemon and the whole trend of Charizard after Charizard is getting A, a little tiring, and B, feels like we're being pandered to. Now, let me prove, or at least try to prove that point to you. In literally 6 months, we've gotten this Charizard over here, this Charizard VMAX out of Darkness Ablaze, right? Then in quite literally the next set, so this was set 3, mind you, Darkness Ablaze was set 3. In set 3.5, this year's holiday set, we literally got a Charizard V shiny card and a Rainbow Rare variant of that card. And so it's incredibly difficult to sort of tie the two together, because in my head, I really want them to do something more than just throw Charizards at us. I really do. Just think about it. We've gotten a shiny one. We've gotten a we've gotten a shiny V, a regular VMAX, a Rainbow Rare VMAX, and now a shiny VMAX. And the only thing I can think of that's left for them to do would be a gold VMAX. And I think they kind of shot themselves in the foot with that one, because for anyone who knows, the gold cards in Sword and Shield era sets have to be the shiny Pokemon. And so you can't give me a, well, I should be careful what I ask for, but you technically can't give me a shiny regular VMAX and then print the exact same card with a gold border. However, with my luck, that's probably exactly what's going to happen. But what's annoying is that 2020, for all that it's been across the world, has definitely been the year of Charizard, because we've seen, you know, the release of the Charizard V and VMAX as Japanese promos. Then we saw them come to the States in Darkness Ablaze and Champion's Path, and now it's back over in Japan as a shiny VMAX, and then it's coming back here in the States presumably sometime in 2021. Now, don't get me wrong, I think there's, you know, a time and place for Charizard. I love it. It's one of the favorite Pokemon. It's one of my favorite Pokemon. I have the cards. Don't get me wrong. Love the card. But maybe they should try to do a little bit more. Just imagine, this Pokemon has gotten 4 different versions of a card, and none of the other Kanto starters have. And if your argument is that, oh, well, they're just featuring a Gen 1 Pokemon, there's 151 Gen 1 Pokemon, you could have picked any of them and chose to pick this one 4 times in a row. And then your argument could be, oh, well, you know, maybe it's pretty clear at this point that they're doing Charizards because there's a lot of hype around Charizard. But what I think is kind of odd is that they've done all this in the first 3 sets, and now the question is, are you just going to print Charizard the opposite way and flip him on the horizontal and tell me that's a new Charizard? Is the new plan to introduce new Pokemon, which is what I hope they do? Or are they just going to kind of leave this alone now? In my opinion, they should be focusing not only on creating amazing Charizard cards, which they have, but they should now also focus in on other Pokemon. If you're going to pick Pokemon from Gen 1, I'll tell you there's a whole bunch of other cards that you could be picking from. Imagine they were to do a Mew or a Mewtwo. They don't have to do VMAXs, they could do just Vs. But the idea is that they could definitely spend some time, do a little bit more with other Pokemon, and realistically, we wouldn't get burned out with Charizard so quickly. The worst part of all is that there's already a wicked aftermarket for some of this stuff. So I'm sure, as anybody knows, Charizard V and VMAX are both plus $400 on most websites. Oh my, that's an ad. And it's just annoying because there are times when, you get very frustrated with this because it is such a difficult market for these particular cards. And so it's important that, in my opinion, they really try to kind of invigorate this stuff. I'm glad they're doing a Dreadnought V, but if they're going to do Charizards, they might as well do other Gen 1, Gen 2, Gen 3 Pokemon. Imagine a VMAX Typhlosion. Imagine, this sounds silly, but a V Yanma. It'd be nice to see a little bit of difference and a little bit of diversity in the offerings they're bringing to the table, and not just seeing a new version of Charizard churned out every single week. Now, all that said, that brings us to the conversation of this Charizard V. And this Charizard V is actually going to be likely featured in the new Shiny Star V that's coming out. So the assumption is that you're going to get this Charizard over here, as well as this guy over here. And hopefully this will also be a good indicator of what other Pokemon cards in the set will look like. So we already know what the US regular version of this card looks like, and the Japanese version. It's just a textured full art Charizard regular color scheme. And the thought is that this is the exact same sort of aesthetic that they will be going for when they print the rest of the cards. So there is a potential, therefore, that this Crobat could be printed in a similar fashion. They'll give it texture, they'll clean up the background, it'll have shiny stars around it, etc., etc. So that is another pretty cool thing. I am looking forward to that, if for nothing else, the fact that it's going to force them to bring diversity. They can't include this Charizard there because they already did so in Champions Path. So that's at least helpful. Now, the last thing I will say on this is in regards to when we might see here in the United States. And for that, I will bring up the Poke Beach article. So Poke Beach is one of the many different TCG websites. I definitely recommend checking them out. They always have spot on information. They're very good with their sources, and honestly, they're just a trusted source among the community for all of your different Pokemon card needs. Now, Pokemon's 25th anniversary is on February 27th, and so we are expecting a 2021 release in February of some sort of big 25th anniversary TCG set. Now, this is typically known as a special set or a 0.5 codename set, the same way that Champions Path is set 3.5. It went Sword and Shield, Rebel Clash, Darkness Ablaze, so 1, 2, 3, and then Champions Path is not set 4, that's Vivid Voltage. Instead, it gets 3.5 because it is a special holiday set. Now, we've already seen this rather interesting Chimchar, which, as you can see, has a couple distinct features to it. One, if you ask me, it kind of looks like a black and white era card. Couple things to note: there is this Pikachu over here that is really cute. It has a 2 and a 5 on its cheeks. And then in addition to that, it has a really interesting, almost shattered glass pattern. Japan makes extensive use of this particular hollow foil pattern, and it's atypical based on what we've seen in all of Sword and Shield so far. That said, if we're getting Chimchar, you can safely presume we're getting the rest of his evolutionary line. The only other question is going to be, is it going to be just one random starter evolutionary line, or are there going to be multiple in the set? Now, some other things to note is that while Shiny Star V is releasing in November of 2020, there are thoughts that it will end up appearing as our 4.5 set here in America. The chances of that are interesting, and I don't necessarily know which way to go on that. Poke Beach seems to be rather comfortable, based on the way Pokemon has behaved in the past, that this will be our special holiday set. But then that asks the question of what Japan's 25th anniversary set is going to be. Because if you notice, Evolutions was actually released in Japan and then in America, and there was about a few months delay. The problem is that the Shiny Star V set hasn't been identified as a special anniversary set. Meanwhile, in Japan, it kind of was released as a 20th anniversary set. It wasn't released the same month as the anniversary, but it was recommended as sort of like the 20th anniversary celebratory set. The one thing that they do call spot on is that Evolutions was released September 16th of 2016, and then we here in the States got it a few weeks later, November 2nd, 2016. And so there's a lot of questions still up in the air. Here are my thoughts. In the past, Pokemon typically will go ahead and release a new set for the holidays. And so in the past, for example, we've gotten Evolutions in 2016. We've gotten Shining Legends after that. Make note of the fact that this included shiny Pokemon. Then we had Dragon Majesty, which was super chill, super simple, nothing like insane, but it was a holiday set. Then we got Hidden Fates, which was a shiny, very spicy type of set. And so you see the pattern that starts to form. You get a regular set, you get a shiny set. You get a regular set, you get a shiny set. And now, in Japan, they've already gotten their next shiny set. Now, many people will be quick to point out that Champion's Path is not a shiny set, and therefore, I can't really say they've broken the pattern. But what I will say is that they do have a shiny Charizard in that set, so it's not like they're not already making use of shiny Pokemon cards. And the other thing is that this set, the Shiny V, comes a little too quickly, in my opinion at least, off the heels of Hidden Fates. And so that's why a lot of people have already started taking to calling this set Hidden Fates 2.0, because that's effectively what it is. It's just Hidden Fates for the Sword and Shield era. And so we do want to keep an eye on that and sort of watch as it goes along. Now, in my opinion, again, I'm 50-50 on this. I don't necessarily know that they wouldn't do it. It seems like they released this set just in time to bring it out for the United States for the 25th anniversary. My only question then would be, what does Japan get to celebrate that? Again, if you're going to point your finger at the Japanese and what they got for the 20th anniversary, it was Evolutions. They got it in September, we got it in November, not that far apart. The only other thing I can think of is Generations, and Generations was equivalent to Starter Pack. So as you can see right here, the second column refers to the Japanese name, and you can see that Generations which was the set that was released the month of the anniversary, February. What ended up happening was they were very explicit about it, February 22nd and February 27th. So the same month, and even down to probably the same week of the anniversary, both the US and Japan got Generations. Later that year, they would get the wonderful little tidbit known as Evolutions, and then they moved along from there. But the problem is that they don't necessarily know what's going to be what. Now, the only other thing that I can think of is this set right here, High Class Pack Tag Team GX Tag Team All-Stars. This set is a set that I have recently invested quite a bit into. Long story short, it's a Japanese set that had one special thing. It was a whole bunch of reprints. As you can see, High Class Pack is the designation that Japan gives for these like special sets. And it basically reprinted everything from the Sun and Moon era, and then also did sort of like a recap set where you got a whole bunch of amazing cards from reprinted sets. Everything sort of had its own designation. What was cool about this set was that every single pack had a GX card or better. Every single pack came in booster boxes of 10, and every box had a chance at a God Pack, which is a 1 in 250 pack. Now, I actually bought several of these, like I just said, but I will be opening up 2 of them on the channel, so definitely stick around for that if you're interested. But In addition to the God Pack and the Guaranteed GX, the other thing is that we here in the States never got a similar thing. Here's why. This was released October 4th, 2019 in Japan, which if you remember is right around the crazy time for Hidden Fates, when you could not find anything on store shelves. And so by the time Cosmic Eclipse released in the States, we basically ran out of time. Don't forget that at the end of 2020, Sword and Shield, at the start of 2020 rather, Sword and Shield started, which means we kind of officially transitioned into that era. And so Tag Team GX appears to be one of the sets that effectively just got left in the dust, or left in Japan, meaning it's a Japan exclusive. We're not going to see it here in the States. A lot of people assumed we were going to see it in Champion's Path, but that didn't end up being the case either. And so there's a small percentage of people, but I have spoken enough to speak confidently on this. There are a small percentage of people who believe we may see a 25th edition set that follows a similar set to this. So even though we may not see the same cards from Tag All-Stars, because think about it, it wouldn't make sense to reprint a reprint in Japan, even though the States never got it. To the States it'd be new, but to Japan it would basically be simple. But what could be cool is if they follow this type of pattern. So what if they took Shiny Star V and brought it to the States following these rules? Or what if they brought Shiny Star V and added some of the mechanics of Tag Team All-Stars, for example, God Packs or Guaranteed GX. And so what we might end up seeing for the 25th anniversary set is an amalgamation of things. We might end up seeing a set like this one with some capacity to this. I just don't think there's a reason for Japan to release this set in November of 2020 when the 25th anniversary is likely going to be celebrated the same month of the actual anniversary, which is February. But with that said, friends, thanks again for checking out today's video. Make sure to let me know down below. We covered quite a bit of topics today, so definitely feel free to chime in. What do you think about Logic buying cards? Is it just driving up the price? Is it something that you still think is going to be in your price range? Then you got the Shiny Star V news. You got tons of Charizards. You let me know. What do you think? Is it a bad thing? Is it a good thing? I'm looking forward to a shiny Crobat. That's all I have to say. And may I just say this from now. When we do get our hands on this set, and if there isn't a shiny Crobat, I'm going to be so pissed. And in addition to that, what do you think this thing's going to sell for? Because it's probably going to be $1,000. Oh, happy day. And finally, but not least, that 25th anniversary set, friends. We got a long storied history of a whole bunch of stuff going on. So definitely let me know what you think our 25th anniversary set is going to be. I have a feeling it's going to be some sort of weird crisscross because of the way Pokemon has been staggering their cards. I also feel like we may not see Shiny Star V until 2021 fall, similar to the way we would have seen Hidden Fates. But with all that said, friends, like I said, thanks again for checking out today's video. If you found today's video educational, informative, or something in between, let me know that down below. A like on this video always helps, as does a comment, and I love interacting and engaging with you guys, so definitely feel free to do so. Of course, the one thing you can do to always help out the channel if you're new is to subscribe, so definitely feel free to click that button and hit the bell notification to get notified of when new videos are coming out. Other than that, I hope each and every single one of you are having a great Tuesday. Thanks again for checking out today's video. I said that for 3 times today, so you can tell how rough a night I'm having. Thanks again, and I'll talk to you soon. Peace.